Summertime is here. We know you need new t-shirts. We've gone above and beyond to make some awesome custom ones that feature some of your favorite games from the episodes.
Castlevania.
Yes.
Portal.
Yes.
That's it.
But
those two.
Those are very cool, and they have very different kinds of theming. One, the Castlevania, is a little bit more edgy.
Anime.
And the Portal one is a little bit more cutesy.
And sweet.
They're both super cool. Fairly reasonable prices. You buy both of them, you get free shipping.
Oh.
Because any order over $50, we're sending them to you for free.
Then buy both
So
of them, you goons.
Yeah, no, it's a easy choice to make. Check out our Shopify. The information is wherever you are seeing this right now. Read the description, check it out, and we would love to make your summer nerdier.
Welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name is Kenny.
Nolan here.
And this is episode 433. And the question of the week, fairly self-serving, what was your favorite moment from Couch Co-op 2024?
Ooh, I don't know. I had a really good time this year.
We had a lot of fun.
Was it eating Sandies at Kenny's?
That's
No,
probably number 2. Yeah.
I make a good sandwich, but not top of the week kind of sandwich. Okay,
It was a good sandwich.
it's a coin toss for me. Getting to play Hades 2 together because we all waited and got to do all of our first looks at it at the same time, and that was just so fun. I can't wait till someday Dustin does decide to play the rest of that game when it actually releases 6 months from now. And in the meantime, Nolan and I are having fun with it.
Still, you won't have beat it by then, though, so we'll be able to beat it together.
I've got a W
That's probably true.
under my belt.
The most single hype moment, though, was that clutch and completely undeserved win of Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes.
Oh,
Not undeserved. We put in an hour.
No, we hadn't played that game for a year and picked up where we left off at the most insane difficulty comprehensible and forced ourselves to sneak a win in, and when we finally did, it was really hype.
It was very hype.
Each Couch Co-op, our goal is to beat one more level of Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes.
We're in the trenches now. I don't know. I don't know if we'll be able to complete one per stream. It's probably going to take like 2 years.
After beating that stage, we almost immediately beat the next. So I think that it was just a difficulty spike, and we were relearning. And Kenny knows 1 or 2 modules.
Okay, you know you're greedy for him.
I am.
He is greedy for him.
But
He's like, I get that.
Those two statements are not. Dang it! What's it called?
Mutually,
they are not mutually
incompatible.
Extinctive.
Friends with benefits.
That you nailed the phrase.
Nolan, what was one of your favorite moments from Couch Co-op?
Oh, that's easy. It was the Discord hangout that we had with our patrons. That was a new thing that we did, and it was it wasn't last minute, but it was like I don't know. It was just an idea we had. We're like, let's try this. I wasn't expecting much from it, but it was
a lot of fun.
Fun and successful. A lot of people showed up, and people got to, like, we were the presenters, so we could talk, and then we could pull people in that had an opinion and gave hot takes. That was so fun, and that was my highlight for sure.
And we're going to do more of that, huh?
Oh, yeah. There's a post on Patreon right now. It's probably going to be closed by the time you hear that, but go vote.
On the topic for our next patron exclusive discussion.
Yeah. Name pending.
For me, I think it was all of our favorites. We went out in public and recorded some content.
That was not my favorite, and it was not Kenny's favorite. No, not true.
Nolan and I are way too
shy,
socially awkward.
Yeah.
Way too self-conscious to do the man on the street
all
thing
of those things.
And Dustin just like YOLO'd it and carried us. But we got some kind of fun content out of it. I can't wait till it gets out to everybody.
I also, one other thing, revealing our shirts. It's always fun to reveal some, like we
they look so good.
And we had been working on that. I've had the boxes at my house for months now. So like,
ready to go.
Yeah.
The artists that we hired to do those custom shirts were exactly the right two people for those two themes, and they turned out so good.
So we are able to show off our Castlevania themed T-shirt and our Portal themed T-shirt. Both of them are very cool. A lot of you have purchased them already. Thank you for doing so.
Yeah, so sick to see.
Super fun. Couch Co-op 2024 was a raving success, and we should probably start planning our next Couch Co-op lest we find ourselves in a tight spot. Like in our retro game of the week, Killer7.
Overview.
Killer7 was first brought to our attention during our 8-year anniversary episode when a few of you, many of you called in, but a few of you, I think it was more than one, pitched Killer7 because there was a theme and the game that you pitched had to relate to the number 8.
So they pitched Killer 8 to us.
Not a game.
And it made sense.
I mean, kind of spoiler, but yes.
Well, they spoiled it to us on that episode, and I don't recall who all did. I don't think it was the one that put it in for the Patreon poll.
Oh, really? It's a different person.
I believe so.
It's got some fans out there.
Yeah, so Killer7 is an action shooter?
Yeah, accepeful.
Kind
Kenny's
of.
gonna... yeah.
I don't even know.
Don't try.
It's a
It's not
genre
that.
defying indie cult classic bloody shooter.
Right, which is way
on
too
rails.
long. So
Yeah,
we should.
So we're gonna make that an acronym, and it'll work perfectly.
Well, then what's the acronym? What you just said?
I can't go back and
exactly.
do that in my
You
brain.
don't remember.
Yeah.
It came out in 2005 for the GameCube and the PlayStation 2, but I think GameCube was actually its like birthplace.
Yeah, because it was part of the Capcom 5.
The Capcom 5.
And that was supposed to be like Capcom was being really successful at the time, so they're like, all right, we're going to do 5 more games, and they didn't like, or the person in charge of this didn't love what the PlayStation was doing at the time, and they were like, actually the GameCube is a little more enticing for what our plans are. But some of the games ended up not being, in fact, maybe all of them ended up being on other consoles as well. So it wasn't only GameCube exclusive, although that is the version I played this week.
Ooh. But I think that the games are
comparable.
It's
the exact same.
Exactly the same.
Loading time is about the only difference that you have, with the PlayStation 2 being the lesser of the two.
Okay, well that's good, because I'd played on PlayStation 2, and if you told me if it was the opposite and
You
GameCube
would've
was
paid.
even slower, I was going to be like, boys, we got problems.
You've already heard, but it was published by Capcom, developed by Grasshopper Manufacturer and Capcom, so maybe a subsidiary?
Maybe. I believe that the Grasshopper manufacturer company is affiliated with the director of this game. Like, I don't know if it's his company per se.
Got you.
But there's a connection there. I don't know.
And we're not going to... we are a family-friendly podcast, and we'll maintain that in the episode. But one of the things that you are warned about as soon as you begin playing this game is that it is very mature-themed, much more so than the majority of the games that the 430 games that we played on this podcast already.
You think the most? Maybe.
So it depends, right?
The content,
Conker's
man.
Bad Fur Day has like a lot more sexual
It's like
innuendo.
fart jokes and stuff. Yeah.
I would
Yes.
And then what you just said, I can't believe
The
you
F
said it on
word?
the podcast. And then I know we played early on the shooting one that is very
Duke
irreverent. Duke Nukem 3D. Is that one the one we played?
Yes.
And that one is a little bit rough, but this one is... Now,
It's the
a lot of
subject
games
matter.
are bloody, but it's the subject matter. It's bloody. It's unsettling.
It's political.
This-
very political.
This one's so heavy that even with its infra-mature rating, there were people out there who were like pushing back against it and saying, no, this deserves
Higher.
like, even a tier up of that.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I agree, but like this is a heavy and pretty graphically violent, though in a kind of stylized. We'll talk about that way. So good to be aware.
The story is as follows. The game is set in an alternate reality where political tensions and power struggles are unfolding between the United States and Japan. And you play as Harmon Smith and as Garcian Smith and as Dan Smith and as Coyote Smith and as all the other Smiths. But you are Harmon Smith, who is an elderly assassin who manifests multiple different personalities, each with unique abilities and weapons, and these personalities together form the elite group of assassins known as Killer7.
Yeah, in fairness, it's more than just personalities. You're full on changing persons.
That's actually the most like acceptable thing about the story of this game. It gets super like you did a great job, Dustin, of laying out the story, but apparently the director Goichi Suda cut 2 hours worth of cut scenes that he wanted in the game. So
wow,
it's just one of those games, man.
It would be interesting to see one of those, the uncut movies or the those kinds of
director's
movies
cut,
that are released, director's cut, to see one of those, because it already is absurd. Would be maybe be a good word for this game, the story. The main thing that Killer7 is doing throughout their adventure in this game is working to eliminate a terrorist organization of mutated exploding humans called Heaven Smile
that are really creepy and that have the worst laugh I've ever heard in the history of laughter.
And it happens quite often.
All the time.
Gameplay.
Playing games together is fun. Okay. And we've been accused in the past when couch co-op happens, I won't say video game names and I won't say people, the Superman game and Super Gamer Guy, the game sucks, but you played it together, so it's automatically fun. However, we proved this time that that's not the case, and it doesn't automatically mean that it's a good game, and I'm not saying that. That's not me hinting at me saying I don't like this game. What I'm saying is the game is so strange that we were left quite speechless in that first play. The game just kind of starts, and it starts like I feel like 2 hours into what a story that we're missing out on, and it's possible to understand or even get a grasp of what the game is in 20 minutes.
And can we pull the curtain back a little bit to say how much weirder it was when we began playing?
Yeah, let's tell them. It's actually really funny. Kitty's computer was struggling.
Kitty's computer is a Pentium, Intel 2, it was built in 95.
Yeah,
it gets the job done.
It got us through the week somehow. I literally don't know how.
Retro gaming podcast, and I sport retro gear. Apparently.
You lean in.
We were doing the first play, and you can find the first play on our YouTube channel, and it's fixed. We found out what was going on quite early, so we were able to restart the first play. But the emulator we were using was running at 50% speed. We already knew this was going to be a weird game, and it sets it up as a weird game.
Yeah.
But it was very weird at 50% speed, and we didn't know for about 10 minutes.
We didn't realize we were like, this is a really odd art choice.
Well, it took us way too long to figure it out, honestly. But that's how strange the game is.
Slowly rolling it out. Yeah, it didn't even feel completely out of place.
No.
It just felt like another weird artistic choice they were making.
Like they introduced,
and you could tell they were making weird artistic choices already.
It's like a cutscene where he's walking slowly already, but he was walking so slow and his footsteps sounded weird. And then it said Garcian Smith. We're like, cool. And I was like, if I have to sit through this for 6 more introductions for killers, that's the whole first play. But my point is, this game has a tutorial, but doesn't matter. There's so much going on that it distracts from what the tutorial's telling you, or it did for me at least.
So one of the things we failed to do in the first play, because we were trying to give you a good experience and get through some of the gameplays, we didn't talk to the person that is supposed to tell you what is happening and how to play. So
are you talking about the guy in BDSM gear?
We don't call it that.
So like I said, it was distracting.
I think it's called a
GAMP outfit that's better?
No.
Okay.
He's in this red outfit, and he drops down from the ceiling, and you're supposed to talk to him quite frequently, and
I don't wanna.
he communicates how to do things. And so if you don't want to play deadly mode, I think that you don't, like, you get a lot less. And there's two difficulties, normal and deadly. We, of course, played normal because we're not insane, but we are after playing this game this week.
I almost clicked deadly.
Let me set up what the tutorial teaches you so that you kind of know what is going on, because it's very it's not natural compared to a lot of other games in this genre or around this genre.
Yeah.
Maybe any other game. Even other similar style games don't work quite like that. It's a very unique title.
Rather than using your D-pad or even your left joystick, thank you, to move around freely, you're on rails, and you're a person that is on rails. And
yeah, usually it's a ship.
Yeah, right. And to move, you have an option either up on the D-pad or X. If you hold X, you move in a predetermined line. You can press triangle or back on PlayStation to turn around, but then you're pressing X or up again to move in the opposite, the direction.
Right, along that same route.
Along
just
that
in
same
the
route.
opposite direction.
AKA extremely foreign to every player.
Yes, if you're familiar with rail shooters or something like that, maybe that will like at least tune you in a little bit to what's going on here. But that's movement, and that's in a third person perspective. But then when you go into combat, it moves into a first person perspective, and you press, for me, PlayStation, R1 to aim, L1 then to scan for invisible enemies, and this is after you hear that cackle that Kenny talked about being dreadful. But it alerts you to incoming enemies. You press L1 one time, Nolan, to scan.
I'm loving this. Yeah, you don't hold it. It'll blind you.
Which
can't
is what
see
happened
anything.
in the first play.
Yeah.
And then you can press triangle to lock onto one of the enemies, and then you
Which
press
I also
X to
forgot
shoot.
about in the first play. Yes.
And then you press X to shoot, and you take out these enemies that are kind of zombie-like moving towards you.
Yeah, for sure. They're slow.
But each of them, or the majority of them, have a weak spot on their body, a glowing yellow circle that if you're able to pierce, able to shoot, that's an insta-kill, and it gives you more blood. So that's
important. The blood's an important resource.
The blood. Oh, the blood's important.
Yeah.
So did you get used to it, is my question.
Great question. While the on-rails movement will automatically turn a lot of people off to this game, it sort of draws me in. And I'll tell you why. I'm weird and enjoy tank controls from Resident Evil. And I'll say Resident Evil throughout this episode. I think there's a lot of comparisons to talk about here. One being the tank, it's not tank controls, it's on rails, but it feels very restrictive. Not being able to use a joystick to move your character is very restrictive, but there's a purpose for it. And if there's a purpose, I'm good with it. And I think there is one here. It forces you, because you're locked in like that, it forces you to kind of pay attention to other things going on around you, which I appreciated. So yes, I got used to it. It took me a long time.
Kenny, did you?
Yeah, I mean, I got used to
not
it,
sure.
but it never felt comfortable.
No, yeah, I buy that.
I think some of that is by design, though. I think
Yes.
they're trying to give you a unique experience. Because this whole game is sort of doing this kind of indie art house, weird, quirky approach to how the game looks and plays and feels. And I think some of that has come through in our description, but I don't know that even the fullness of that is really clear. Because even as you're moving around like on rails and navigating, sure, you have the forward and backwards, but then like anytime you need to make a decision about another direction that you're going to go, it's not like you're turning right or left or opening a door. You've got these weird pop-ups on the screen that like have the name of the next place you're going, and one or two of them or even more may pop up on the screen and be different sort of sizes and shapes and really artistic. And then selecting from those is the thing that then sort of moves you to the next room, where once again, you're on rails and going through the process and looking for enemies and trying to survive and repeating. And between that and the map, you can navigate around this space relatively fluidly, but it always feels unique, off-putting it. But again, I think that's intentional. They're trying to make you uncomfortable. The sound effects and the harsh graphics and the types of enemies and the blood not really being blood, but being really kind of artistic, graphical
blobs.
It's just it's a very intentionally uncomfortable game.
I agree. I got used to it, but always knew that it was there. You know, like, and a lot of times when you're controlling your character in game, that kind of fades into the background. And
supposed
kind of
to,
nature. Yeah, while you're doing other things. This doesn't. But again, and Kenny has said it, Nolan has said it, intentional. That's not by accident.
Right. And the other thing I'll say about the movement that draws me in, again, Resident Evil has fixed camera angles, or at least retro Resident Evil has fixed camera angles, which shows off your environment. They want you to see the art of the room that you're in and the details of the house that you're in Resident Evil. Here, they do that too. It's kind of
much more cinematic.
Yeah, very cinematic. It is a down low camera angle behind your character, looking up at them. And so, and it's following, it's not locked in the same way that Resident Evil is, but it is like following with you. And that also is very different. Like everything about it, the control scheme is foreign, but intentional. And I ended up really liking the direction that they took that.
What you're doing in this game is you have an assassination mission, different missions. And so in the first one, you're going into the Heaven Smile headquarters and taking out the boss. In the second one, you're going into a restaurant, I guess. It's a base of operations. It's much larger than a restaurant. But taking out the like Japanese president. I don't remember the exact political office. But and so you're holding X and moving through these environments and solving small puzzles. Resident Evil vibes big time.
Absolutely. Lots of sort of environment-based kinds of puzzles. You got to find this thing here to take it over to change this thing, which reveals this item, which you need that item to then do interactions with these other things to progress. And I think even more than the broader vibe, and I know Nolan has said it just generally, but I'll agree, that piece of it felt kind of Resident Evil style for me.
But the mechanic, there's a lot of different things going on here, but I would say the main mechanic we've already referenced, but let's talk about it, are your different personas. I mean, you can say that they're more than that, Kenny, but that's what they call them in the game. They're personas, they're personalities.
Sure, but they're a physical manifestation of those persons, because you are physically changing your environment and how you interact with it.
Yeah, which allows are we inside of Harmon's head?
Exactly.
Is that the twist?
Yeah,
that he's insane.
It's not a twist. It's kind of how it's setting it up and what I think is happening. I don't think he's just insane. I think
he has issues.
It's going too deep. But
yeah, we need to be careful. We can go super deep.
Regardless, having these different people that you can choose from allows for different fighting styles, allows for different abilities and strengths and weaknesses, allows for a different amount of health per character, and then allows certain characters to let you get past certain obstacles that other characters wouldn't let you get past.
And here's my Bucky O'Hare comparison.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
It's like if Mega Man 7 and Bucky O'Hare had a really
Mega Man 7?
pretentious baby.
Yeah, where did that one
Wait,
come
Mega
from?
Man 7, Resident Evil
Oh!
7.
I didn't know what you were going for.
Why did I say Mega
randomly.
Man? I think I just had a number in my head,
specifically
and then my
7.
brain said Mega Man.
Okay,
Yeah.
so to talk about those different characters, we don't have to go through all
Yeah.
of them. Was there one that you preferred or that you enjoyed playing the most? And when you say so, we can talk a little bit about that character.
Yeah.
So it's
Luchador.
Killer 3 for right now. It's us 3.
Killer 3? That could be a sequel to this game. It's the Luchador.
Are you serious?
Dude.
He was my least favorite.
Bro, he's good.
Well, you and I
Nolan-
played totally different games. You were not going for crits.
no.
Nolan just liked
No,
blowing
because-
up walls.
Yes, very convenient actually. No, I wasn't, Dustin. I'll tell you why. Because
Well, of course.
we deduced that much in the first play. Hey, that looks like a weak point, and I was shooting it. Nothing was happening. So that
just
is
gave up.
just well, of course. I don't trust the mechanic at that point. So I didn't engage with
Wow.
like getting crits often. I actually kind of
Wow.
spammed more. So like I like the Luchador guy, and I like the
Oh, you can't
Oh.
take 2.
okay, fine. Him
Maybe
by
you can
far,
come back
and
around.
he
You can
gets
come back around.
his abilities. Like he gets different outfits, like wrestling costumes,
Oh.
and that's how he gets his different like level ups, like abilities.
But
I
at the beginning, he only has a single shot before he has to reload, right? 2 shots.
He's got the grenade
Yeah,
handgun
grenade.
thing. Yeah, it's really good though.
Oh no, too slow for me. Kenny,
And you can upgrade that with blood.
want to say if you collect enough blood, you can
What's
upgrade.
wrong
you're
with
not
this
collecting
game?
enough if you're not hitting crits.
What's wrong with this game? That's true.
it's trippy and weird. I played the game wrong. I mean, I didn't. Just like the main character felt like the main character for me, so I just mostly kept myself as Garcian. Is that how we're gonna say it?
Garcian.
And then swapped when I needed to
He
for
did.
obstacles
He
or
did.
certain fights, which is a terrible way to play it because of mechanics of how death works
Oh, no.
and kind of what this guy is supposed to do in terms of
You can
recovering
play-
your other characters and whatever else. So
You can play 6 characters, and
Yeah.
in those 6 characters, if you die, the game is not over. There is one character that if you die with, the game is immediately over, and it's the
Right.
one you chose.
Did you
yeah,
know that?
it was.
Kenny?
I'm telling you, it was a bad choice. But he felt like the main character.
Yeah.
I think I got over that after I'd played for a little while and tended to play Dan a little, but also the dual wielding sideways gun
Coyote?
character. I think that may have been Coyote. I
No,
forget.
Coyote was the guy that ran.
Don't
had
say it
basketball
because that's
shoes on.
mine, and I'm not going to
Oh,
give
okay.
it to
My
you.
bad.
Yeah, no. Then you talk about it.
Garcian Smith is
He's cool.
the main-ish character. He's the handler.
He's
the
the
guy,
dominant
Right. He's
persona.
the sub main character.
but he's not a fighter, and is the whole purpose of him is he's the cleaner. So when it's so creative, when one of your personas die out on the field,
Yep.
you start back at one of the save rooms as Garcian, and you have
Resident
to
Evil.
make your way back to that body or where they died, and he cleans up. He picks them up so that then you can heal and bring that persona back to life.
And there's kind of a mini game
Which is-
attached to it
yeah.
too.
Yeah, you got to smash
Right.
X,
It's great.
right? Or,
It's
which is
really
a kind
creative.
of fun mechanic and means that you can play this game wrong until you sort of figure that out. So don't
Classic,
be like me. That's
dude.
not the only time I will have said that. But once again, don't be like
I've
me.
got to start guessing how you play these things and immediately guess the weirdest or
just the
worst
wrong,
way.
the
Yeah.
most wrong way to play a game.
Dustin, your
Yeah.
favorite persona?
Yeah, so was Con Smith.
Oh, yeah,
and
okay, so he was-
the fastest. I think he was the one that has the guns to the
He-
side.
he
that
holds it
was-
like a
Kenny was
gangster.
Talking about, but
Yeah.
he's fast. He dual wields. He's able to. It's just speed. He's all about
Yeah.
speed. I think he reloads faster. In fact, he reloads with his feet. I think he jumps up and like clicks them both with his feet.
That's weird.
And I think the idea with him is that he is blind, so he has better hearing. So you hear, I think the idea is you hear the laughs before you would hear them with other characters.
Oh,
interesting.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So those are just 3 of the personas. There's others. Nolan
Right.
threw out
You've got-
Coyote earlier, which
Yeah,
is a
you've got
lock
one-
picking.
Yeah, you've got the lock picking, you've got the wall smashing, you have different kinds of attacks
Yeah.
that are situational depending on what you're wanting to do and which enemies you're facing.
Yeah.
What I like about the persona gimmick, and it is a gimmick, let me be clear, those aren't always bad, is that it does make you or encourage you to use all of them.
You have to, yeah.
But yeah, you
Right.
have to.
It's mandatory
because of the
yeah.
puzzles. I like that better than what I thought it was upon first play, which was, just pick, like, kind of like choose your fighter, like who's your favorite character, who looks coolest. I like that this crazy guy needs all of his personas to get these kills.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird, but it's
And
great.
the idea of having 7 different assassin personas that you've inherited, and like that's just such a cool concept that you can work through them now to be able to accomplish the things that you have to do. I think that's so intriguing.
It's a straight up anime plot, though.
It is.
Everything about this is.
You say that. There are other people who have done similar plots in books, if you will, Legion, or movies, if you will, Glass.
Dang, Kenny
and-
with the
and
references.
And
That was
so,
nasty.
like, I know it seems really cool, but I think people have played with the, multiple personalities thing as a concept.
They're over it.
Generally. Well, no, and I mean, maybe this one happened early. Maybe this is the inspiration for some of those others.
Before
but,
Glass. It's before Glass.
yeah, it's not. It's not like it's a completely novel thing, but they use it to good effect here for giving you a kind of gameplay hook.
Now, back to the puzzles that are present here, and y'all said that they remind you of Resident Evil. I agree. For sure, I agree. But what's very different about this game and those puzzles is that this game has significantly less backtracking that you have to do. Resident Evil, you have to do it a lot. This game is super linear, and I really appreciated that about this game because I don't, like, I think, especially at this time, the phrase open world was starting to be created, and like people wanted larger and more freedom in their games. Dude, I miss when it was just like on rails is literally like, no, you're going to go where I tell you to go. And that made the puzzling aspect so much more acceptable to me than having to like get lost in a ridiculous maze or have like some sort of riddle, which there was some that you had to put together here, but like, I mean, there's just way less backtracking going on here.
Well, to really make it baby for you, you can open up the mini map in the normal difficulty mode, and on the map, the full screen map, and it shows you a character portrait of the character that the persona that you need to switch to get through particular points. So
fine with that, actually.
Yeah.
The goal here is not
Yes.
so much solve puzzles,
Right.
though you
Correct.
do some of that,
And
it's not so much shoot people.
There,
It's
yeah.
right. The goal is experience this story that is
1,000.
told in a unique way.
1,000%. Yeah.
That's the vibe here. Even bosses, like the fight mechanics aren't like they're different, but aren't like super intriguing or something totally revolutionary or a completely different kind of interaction than you're getting for your normal fights. But they're different and have story beats and cutscenes and all of these things that sort of make it more about what you're doing than how you're doing it.
Exactly. Well put. Let's talk about the blood mechanic. We mentioned it, but I think it's important here because it's unlike many games. I mean, in a lot of games, you kill things and get currency from them, and you can use that currency to level up. Elden Ring stole it from this game.
I mean, this is kind of that. You're just not collecting coins.
Right.
You're collecting the blood of your enemies.
Yeah, and you've got thin blood and thick blood, and thin blood is just used for healing, I believe, but thick blood,
that's your experience, basically.
But listen to this, and we're not going to explain this. You take thick blood into Harmon's room, and you give it to the TV so that the TV can make vials, so that you can then use those vials on your characters and upgrade one of 4 stats.
I think the maid helps
it makes
at some point
so
too.
much sense.
The maid
Yeah,
that's
the maid
in the
helps
save room.
you save the game.
Yeah, it's so crazy, but it's also it's got to be tongue in cheek because at this time people were angry about blood in video games and violence, and they were like, we're not only going to show the blood in a very gruesome way, we're going to use it as currency to level up.
Yeah.
Just crazy. But that does add somewhat of an RPG element to this. Very light in that you can upgrade your characters, which I didn't expect. Honestly, I would have been fine going through this game with their default move sets and abilities, and I would have not complained. But it's kind of cool that there's a reason you should be going for the crits and should be engaging in combat to get better.
Yeah, I was a little bummed when I realized that hitting the enemy weak spots gives you more of that blood, because then
Like
I
way
felt
more.
obliged to try and do it, and I would have rather just shot him and mowed him down and not cared about that mechanic.
Which you can.
Which you can, and it's fine, but because there is sort of incentive to, and that incentive is the thing that strengthens your characters, I found I was doing that interaction more than I would have otherwise. I still didn't do it all the time, which I guess was the whole point, so I don't blame him for that, but I wish that had been a little different.
Yeah.
I felt a little locked into my strategy.
Well, and I wanted to go for the crits as well, and I don't know if this will make it better for you, Nolan. I think the way that they're intending for it to be is that at the beginning of the game, you're not going for crits, or at least you're not hitting them consistently.
Yep.
You're taking out enemies, and once you level up enough, it really does affect how you're able to aim with the characters that you're leveling up. And so
it's pretty clunky at first.
Oh, it is. It is, especially because, well, we'll talk about it later, but it came out on PC in 2018. That changes the gameplay.
Absolutely.
Like,
Totally.
Because the point, in part, is that you're unable to do that. One of the 4 skills, you only have 4 skills that you're upgrading. Yeah. One of the 4 is waver, and so like the gun waver, and so like you are not supposed to be able to hit all those crits early on. However, as you level up, you really feel that tune in a little bit so that you're able to hit crit a lot more. What I would do is I would end up, there's a few early on, but you know that thing that only Dan can blow up that puts out an egg and it keeps doing that? It was in the garage.
Oh, yeah,
in the early area. You can just stay there for an endless amount of time and hit crits and get tons of thick blood if you want to. So
of course.
Okay, gimmicky, but
Exploit.
I don't blame you for doing that.
I will use what the game gets me to do what gives me to do the best possible. So I was able to build up a character where then I was able to focus a little bit more on the crit, because that was fun for me.
I need to know y'all's opinions on characters with catchphrases.
Okay, so you played, who was that? Was that Coyote? Or Dan? No,
No.
Dan.
I mean, all of the characters had things they said, their own voice lines, and some of those were unique. Some of those got said a lot. But what I really wanted to point out was every time you talked to your little weird helper guy. Friend.
Iwazaru.
Iwazaru.
Yes.
I
Ikaruga?
never get that right. Every time he said that stupid, annoying line that made me think of "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" Total, like, 100% quotable from that movie. We're in a tight spot.
That's why I said what I did in the segue. Master,
absolutely,
we're in
it was
tight
a great
spot.
segue.
Every once in a while it would be Master. He didn't say an okay spot, but he would lessen it from time to time.
or every once in a while he'd say we're in a tight spot.
Yeah,
There were variations, but it was always we're in a tight spot, and it was a lot. I got kind of over it.
Stop talking.
And also, like, the speech itself is that weird garbled sound where they tweak it and invert it, and it makes you feel like you're going crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel about the talking to him? Because that was strange to me.
I mean, I didn't. Unless I had to.
Nolan.
What? I understand.
Because
Did you talk
he was
to
so
Travis?
Of course. I talked to, like, I got my story beats just fine without Iwazaru. I talked to him some, but not enough to, like, be bothered by his catchphrase. He sounds ridiculous. Everybody kind of sounds, well, Garson sounds cool, but
I think I made the mistake of going through that whole menu of tutorial, not the initial tutorial,
Just
but
the
the
text.
menu
Oh, you're
tutorial
screwed,
all at once, where it's just go down the line and he tells you the thing.
I mean,
and
we
every
did that the
single
first
time
play.
he talks on that as well. He still goes through and says that line for every single beat of that. I got so over
we
it.
skipped everything in the first play and heard a laugh and got blown up 3 or 4 times, and then we got to the room where there's, like, the first puzzle, and we didn't know at all what we were doing.
Yeah,
like
because you've got to talk to your friend. Yeah, the the constant use of those catchphrases, especially with the guy you played, Dan, often. I think he just threw out the F word every time he shot something.
All the time.
But Iwazaru, that one honestly didn't bother me. The thing about dialogue that bothered me is there's no skipping it. And so, like, if I've accidentally procced it again, I've got to sit through it.
Yeah, you're sitting through it again.
And that was what was frustrating to me, and something that you shouldn't be doing in 2024 or 2005.
Aged.
Might I present one way that this game ages well?
You might.
What if we said no?
Then I
Just
would
no.
I would abide by that.
Okay, well, no, you may present.
Thank you. 2 decades ago, there were far fewer experimental games than
Yes.
there are today.
Well,
Of course, there
yes.
were experimental games, and they're even going back to the 90s and the 80s. But
And it is.
I think it's actually kind of fair,
Italian.
especially this era.
Yes.
Where, like, consoles are kind of king. PC has always been there, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But this was sort of console in their heyday. And I think experimental gaming, especially years ago, tended to happen
Frowned upon.
more
PC.
on PC.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I have no
And
mouth
so-
and I must speak.
Right.
Scream,
You got some weird
but
games
yeah,
in
that one.
that genre, but, like, until the indie scene kind of blew up
Yes.
in console gaming, you didn't get as much of that. So it is very unique for the time and the consoles to get that.
If this is an odd one now, which we've already acknowledged it is an odd one now, imagine what
Yes.
it must have been like then.
Man,
That's fair enough.
like this guy, the director, reminded me of the guy that made Silent Hill, in that he was like, "Oh, Twin Peaks direct inspiration for me making
Totally.
this game," and you feel it in that game. But this game's somehow even more insane. Can you said it makes you feel crazy? It actually
does.
makes me feel crazy. So
yeah.
many things about it make me feel like I'm losing my mind. All intentional. He wanted us to go through this weird world that he had in his mind. And dude, again, the fact that they made him cut 2 hours. This also reminded me of the director. Y'all have to remind me of the game. I think it was Secret of Mana. It was a PlayStation game. And it was the pop-up book RPG. And it had like 20 different mechanics in it, all of them experimental and unusual. They let him put all of them in the game, and it turned me off completely. I hate that
Even the
game.
world map was like
Even
you
the
put
world
the
map
pieces
was
down
like
together.
a board game, and if you didn't know
Yeah.
what you were doing, this guy, but Capcom told this guy, no, you have to cut, and he did, and the game's still weird. Like, it is very crazy, dude.
The fact that it's such a unique game, though, I think helps with how it ages a little bit. Because you sit down and play it, and it feels like a unique experience regardless. And so some things that may really even be aging factors, if they went back and remade the same game today that they might do differently, don't really feel out of place because the whole experience is intentionally foreign. And so driving to be a game that they knew, I think, from the beginning wasn't going to be for everybody and was going to be more of a cult kind of popular type of game. It's not surprising to me that this game still has people that follow it and love it and swear by it even today, even if that is sort of a very specific group of fans.
Yes, but my question is, how in the world did this game get the green light? Literally.
That's a fair question. It's a little bit shocking to me.
Yes, because the game is shocking. We aren't going to go into detail. There's no point, and like some of these things happen way later in the game. But like the game's extremely political, which again was not happening in video games in 2005. No one touched politics because it's probably a good idea to not do that. No one's going to buy a game.
You saw some of that. You'd get Metal Gear Solid that would sort of like flirt with it.
Oh,
and you
totally.
would have,
This is a
you know,
this is a.
But it didn't shy away from going sort of heavy into those themes. Where you're right, it wasn't common.
Yeah, but like, dude, it's extremely violent. We've made that clear, but it's got sexual themes. It's got crazy language, and just the overall. It's got a lot of survival horror elements to it too. There are some jump scares all throughout this that would not be friendly to a lot of gamers. How did Capcom, of all people, well, maybe Capcom more so than some other companies like Nintendo, of course.
Resident Evil and stuff. But,
Yeah, because they're already going there. But this is deeper, dude.
As as off-putting and jump scary and dark as it was, and it's gory, like all of that stuff is deserved. I think because it was presented so stylistically, it didn't feel as uncomfortable for me. I still don't prefer that, and it was still more of that than is sort of my cup of tea generally.
It was just
but
ludicrous.
Because it was so stylized, I never felt like, I don't know, like it wasn't as overt or as offensive to me as some more realistic.
It's certainly not
realistic. Some of that can be,
yeah.
And so I don't know if that's for good or bad. I mean, maybe in a world where they were really trying for shock factor, he kind of wished they had graphics that could be even, more overt. I don't know, but it was. I mean, they were effective in making you feel what they wanted you to feel, which was weird and out of place and uncomfortable.
So even though you've got like normal dimensions of a human, it's cell shaded. These are cell shaded graphics, which puts a little bit of a cartoony flair to it.
I know what you're saying.
Comic book, than cartoon.
Yeah.
With
fair.
the overlays of the text, it had a comic booky vibe.
I think it's done quite well. I'll say too. The cell shading, I think it was probably one of the better examples.
Yeah, I mean, but even like the buildings, and we've already talked about the blood. It's like sometimes it sprays in red, but sometimes it's multicolor, and it doesn't ever look like some kind of violent blood splatter. It's a different thing. So everything that it is presenting to us, I think, has the tendency to age better because it's so stylistic. We've talked about it. When you go stylistic, then it has the potential to age better in some ways.
Future proofs you a little bit better than if they were going for hyper realistic, but on the PlayStation, which just wouldn't have sold.
And they do that,
or held up as well.
The first boss is this anime angel, so it's a different kind of no one else is really fully anime. You've got anime-esque things, but this is like girl
straight
with big eyes and like an anime doll, and so
felt kind of strange.
I mean, you could say strange for so many of the things that we're talking about because that's the intention here. The music, right? The music is not generally something that you would want in a playlist. A lot of it is unsettling, but I think that it's quality and it works for the game.
Yeah, I thought the music worked great for what they were trying to do here and the mood they were trying to set. I did think some of the sound effects were overdone or too heavy-handed.
You didn't like the laugh.
Tried to elicit an emotion, but then the
Joker laugh.
I was almost laughing at it instead of with it because it was too much. So that balance of I thought the music was handled really, really, really well. I got what they were going for on the sound effects, but wish they had gone a little less slap you in the face with them.
This game will slap you in the face.
Yeah, I don't know.
I really don't want us to be like, the music was great and move on. I think the music in this game is one of the best things it has going for it for a couple reasons. One, you do want it in a playlist. Do not listen to Dustin. Go look it up.
He wants the I don't want to fall asleep tonight.
Yeah, the Halloween.
Or I want nightmares all night long playlist.
Absolutely not. Go and listen to it without the game. I did. Actually, you know what? Okay, then you're just strange. This soundtrack has elements of jazz, electronic, drum and bass, funk. It is so good. And I think it's beyond just, so it's very listenable, number one. Number two, when you put it with the insane things going on in this game, this sci-fi vibe mixed with the horror elements, that's a fun setting to me. It doesn't sound fun, but it is. I enjoy it. But when you have the music with it, it somehow, and I don't know really how to describe it, makes the game itself more palatable.
It goes great. It goes great on your music to lose your mind to playlist.
Yeah, with the girl at the desk. No, it's not simply it fit for the game, it fit for the genre, it fit for the time. It is masterful. The composer I have to shout out is Masafumi Takada and Jun Fukuda. Also worked on the sound design. I thought the sound design was clever, Kenny. I know it annoyed you, but laughing when you don't see the invisible enemy, but it lets you know they're there. The voice acting I thought was on point. It's ludicrous and out there that what they're saying, but man, I think the sound of this game, from the soundtrack to the noises, is amazing.
I will, completely unrelated, and for a game this specific, I will give them a pass but I will say it's not super user friendly from just like an accessibility point of view to have the only way you know to look at your enemies be something triggered by sound. I would have loved if there was also a
scanner that
visual
tells
element
you
or
whether
something else besides just hearing it. That's a not like a major complaint, but something that matters.
I think that's good to bring up. I do think for most enemies, if not all, there is a faint outline of them, so you can.
Your main cue though is the laugh.
Oh, sure. Thankfully,
and you won't miss that.
Thankfully, and I generally mean this,
not.
all three of us can hear, so we were able to use that to our advantage. And it often even procs, at least for me, using con before they even come around the corner. So I'm posted up, ready to go.
Dang, that's so.
I know.
I didn't notice
It's so
that.
nice. Okay, but I agree with you, Nolan. I still stand by it. I wouldn't want the majority of this music on a playlist because some of it starts to get creepy, and intentionally so. The first few tracks are killer, and I would have on a playlist.
Russian Roulette and in Succession, if you want to go search them, if you're
He knows
listening.
the titles
Amazing.
already.
I listened to them
Wow.
several times. They're on my gym playlist.
But I agree.
This would make me work out because I'm like running away from the enemies.
The sound design, I get how people would find it grating, because it is, or annoying, because it can be, but it never felt unintentional, and it never felt grueling. Grating, maybe. Grueling, no. It was all purposeful and kept me in. This game, more than most, made me feel like I was experiencing something, like
Yeah.
I was... that is
Something
that is abnormal that people hadn't experienced before. I mean, it gives the vibes of like found footage, right? Like
Dude,
for film.
yeah.
Like
It's cursed. It's in the
Just- yeah,
cursed
it's
category.
cursed.
Yes.
absolutely. But I think both of those things are fair analogies to draw.
I said there was a PC port that came out in 2018. Is for Windows. Again, I haven't played it, so I don't want to be too harsh here. But I think giving you a keyboard and a mouse
Cheating.
is cheating.
It's like magic in Elden Ring, dog.
Yeah. That's
Come
it's
on.
fair. I think it would
A
change the
mouse.
feel of the game a lot.
I think it would change the feel of the game. However, I do think that might be more palatable for some. It brings it.
Yeah.
It helps with the age a little bit if you're not having to deal with the mechanical aspect of that. And if their argument and our argument for the game is that it's not about the combat first and foremost, and it's not about the whatever else the puzzles first and foremost.
Yeah.
Then mouse and keyboard could work.
Game needs a VR port.
Oh,
You
no.
would never. You would.
I would
Heck
never.
no.
I absolutely would never.
If you want a copy of Killer7 for
Be
your
pricey.
PlayStation, it is going to be $14 used or loose, $53 new. That is PlayStation
What?
2. However, it is more expensive if you want it for your GameCube. So it's $53 used or loose, or $107
Yeah.
new.
GameCube games,
Wow.
dude. Almost all of them are jacked up.
But you can get it cheaper than both of those on Steam. Right now.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. It does require 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. Kenny, you're a scaredy boy. What did you think of Killer7?
It's going to be
I am a
interesting.
scaredy boy. And this game is absolutely unique. We've talked about it. I think there are people that this will tickle an itch for them. Scratch an itch?
Ickle
Maybe
a
that's
titch.
better.
the term.
Ickle a
Tickle.
titch. Keep going.
Some people will be tickled by this game. But generally, and not always, but I usually like my NGP recommendations to carry a pretty strong, everybody should just go and check this game out connotation. There's exceptions. But I think that the interest in this game is way too person specific. I think people that like it will love it. I think that's probably a very specific and maybe minority of people. If you don't mind mature and violent video games with an art house style and where being unique is part of the appeal, this one might be for you. And I can respect what they do here. They do a great job of delivering the experience that they're trying to deliver. But gameplay, tone, storytelling aren't for everyone, and I'm unfortunately just in like a taste category, not part of that everyone. So no NGP from me, but not as a like disrespect to what this game is doing, just as a recognition of sort of its universal appeal or lack thereof, really.
So it's for disturbed individuals?
Yeah, I guess. Not really, but like you got to know what you like and what this game is and be aware of that. And I don't think it's one that I would just like broadly say everybody should go check out, but I do think there are some folks who want to and will love it, and I think it was made well for those people. Still, no NGP from me.
I will say that this game is not something I could have anticipated at all, which is a great thing.
Yeah, we're not surprised often.
Ever. I mean, very, very rarely will a game come up where we go, whoa, like what in the world? How does this exist? How have I not heard of it? So not a ton fit this genre, which the genre I'm speaking of is crazy guys let loose to do his Lynchian dreams in a video game. Again, I mentioned Silent Hill earlier. Killer7's an experience, and it's one that I found myself impressed by over and over this week, just on the sheer nerve of the game to do what it did, to go where it went. It's camp, it's creepy, it's anime, and it's extremely fun. I know full well that Kenny's right. Many will bounce off this like no tomorrow, but dude, it definitely worked for me. And I think I think anyone should try the game, but you need to set time for it. It's not one you play along with another game. Just go in knowing I'm going to play Killer7 for the next 3 days, or start with one and then go from there. I think if you really like sit there and like just try to, suspend disbelief, let the story happen, this thing is so impressive to me. And the soundtrack I already mentioned. I love this game. It works so well for me. NGP all day.
I had difficulties this week trying to figure out what was going on and what kind of game this is and how to categorize it and how to enjoy it even. Like, because it more than most games is an experience. It's something that you are experiencing, and so some of the gameplay mechanics are not ideal, but they're intentionally not ideal. The sound design might not be pleasing to the ear, but it's intentionally not pleasing to the ear. I was shocked by many things this week. One of the main ones was how deep of a political drama this ends up being. It doesn't even pitch itself like that at the beginning. It's after the first mission that it's like, we're going to the Pentagon and seeing what's happening there. Like, it's such a different kind of experience, from the story to the gameplay, the characters. Love the setup of the 7 assassins and using their unique abilities. From the visual design to the audio design, everything is so, I'm agreeing, camp, art house, weird. And many people are going to bounce off of it. And I bounced on it hard. I was bouncing, and I'll stop with that analogy.
Yes.
I am going to play this game till the end.
Same. Actually, same.
I am fascinated and am having fun. I've got Khan up to level 4 across the board already, and it makes the gameplay so much more enjoyable for all my characters, really. That small RPG element of being able to level up your characters and get some new abilities and all of that just throws it over the edge for me. Such a weird game. Not everyone's going to love it. I did, and I think it's worth everybody at least playing to figure out for yourself. So New Game Plus for me, which means that Killer7 is New Game Plus certified. But what did you think on our YouTube poll? 34% said yes, it's worth playing today. 4% said no, and 62% have never played it before.
Interesting.
It's a wider spread of knowledge and popularity than I would have expected.
Well, but 62% never played it before.
I know, that's
Capcom,
actually crazy to me. It's an American release, too.
But it's because of what we were saying.
It's
Like,
the
why was
content.
this allowed to be released?
Parents didn't let it. Yeah, exactly.
I'm
I'm
glad.
actually shocked. I am, too. It's not for kids. Straight
Like, I
up.
think more people are playing it in 2024 than in 2005.
You're right.
Maybe.
I think you're right.
We had many that played along with us this week that wrote in their commentary to be featured as a part of this episode. I'll start with Chris, who said Killer7 is poopy. It's a super interesting discussion piece and almost incomprehensibly unenjoyable as a physical game. It's a masterpiece conceptually, and the execution is an abject disaster. Nobody should play Killer7. Everyone should experience Killer7.
Here we go. I think we're going to hear a lot of people bouncing off what we were just talking about.
I think we'll hear some of both. Kenny, do you agree that everyone should experience but not play?
No. I think his where he drew that line is weird. I think either like you're into it, in which case you're going to be completely into it, watch it, play it, be familiar, experience it, but also play it, or you're not. And I still think the not is probably 70% of the population.
Clint said, I'm a bit of a connoisseur when it comes to wacky, obtuse games. I love ridiculous, rough, around-the-edges titles. Unfortunately, I couldn't find enough in here to convince me to keep digging. It's probably a fine enough game, and maybe even great, but the plot begins with zero hook, and the gameplay is so stilted that I found it absolutely grueling to make it even a few rooms into this adventure. It's not a game I want to play with the guide open, but I'm not sure how to progress without one either. I feel like maybe I haven't given the game a fair shake, but I just hadn't found anything interesting or enjoyable to make me want to keep playing. I'm giving this one a pretty disappointed pass.
I think if it hasn't happened yet, it won't.
Well, if you only got a few rooms in, you got to get further than that.
Yeah, but it sounds like
Clear
Quinn
the
gave it
first
more
mission.
than that.
Clear the first mission.
If you're
Kill
wanting
Angel.
to do it, get past the first boss. I agree.
And then make your decision, yeah.
Right. Yep.
Sin Doctor said, Killer7, I knew this day would come. This is a bizarre game to have on the show because it's going to split people pretty evenly between absolutely never wanting to play it and adoring it. And it's a rare type of game where I think both sides are kind of correct. My perspective is that this is a must-play for everybody. Even if you don't like it, just seeing it for yourself is worth the time. The sound design alone is worth the price of entry to me. But then you factor in the wild imagery, dreamlike friends and foes, surreal cityscape, and this game becomes so much more than the sum of its parts. NGP all the way.
Yep. I agree with that final part. But like the people that don't like it, are they right? Yeah, you don't have to like it.
I think right. No, I think pointing out
So
the
art house.
divisiveness of it is a fair thing.
I do think the people that like would be pretentious about this game and liking this game are losers. Like it's not that kind of like, come on.
Like you have to like it, or I won't hang
exactly.
out with you.
It's
kind
like
of
film critics. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Finally, Hey Brother, who submitted this game to the Patreon pool.
Oh, Hey Brother.
Oh,
Hey Brother,
perfect.
said, I know this will
What's
not
up,
be
brother?
for everyone. In fact, it might not be for most people. The style ranges from strange to outright bizarre, and the story feels barely comprehensible. The controls also take a bit to get used to. However, it was the strange style and killer soundtrack that pulled me into this game, and I wanted to keep playing to figure out the story and grew deeper and deeper until the huge reveals at the end. I put this in the pool because the people that loved this game really loved this game, but not many people had a chance to play it or have never heard about it. I wanted to give our community a chance to see if this game and developer Suda51 were for them. Obvious NGP from me.
I thought this was the weird Capcom 5 game that I hadn't heard of. There's a couple I haven't heard of. Like Resident Evil 4 is like one of the only ones that I know of.
There's like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah, there's like 10 of them.
That is all of your thoughts. You can send in your thoughts on the Retro Game of the Week each and every week to ngppodcast@gmail.com or hop into our Discord channel and leave your thoughts there. We'd love to include your commentary as a part of a future episode. For now, we're setting aside Killer7. Not really. And we are going to randomly select the game that we're going to be playing for the next 7 days. We're still in the pool party. It's been a weird
Heck yeah.
one.
It's an off week.
Randomizing now. Continuing with the weird trend, we are playing a game from a series developed by Capcom.
Oh, what?
But
Okay.
this particular one was
no.
developed by Nintendo.
Oh, I think
Okay.
this can be like a cup. I think it can be one thing actually.
There's no
There's
way you can
there's
think
got to
of
be a
this.
few.
A few, yes, but series I think is only. Well, hold on, go ahead.
I believe that we played one of the games in the series from years ago.
Okay.
It was released. This one was released in 2000 for the Game Boy Color.
Oh gosh, what is this?
Okay.
The game that we'll be playing for the next 7 days is called Bionic Commando Elite Forces.
We have played a Bionic Commando game.
We did the original Bionic Commando,
NES,
the one
yeah.
on NES,
the
the one
hand.
that I
Yeah, the claw
and
thing.
the one that I grew up with and loved that title.
Wow.
Swinging around, hard game, but like learnable and beatable.
Bionic Commando was episode 92, boys.
Been
We're
a
returning
while,
there
boy.
with a Game Boy Color, so find a copy of Bionic
Okay.
Commando Elite Forces. I hate Game Boy Color, and play it along with us this week.
Join us in Discord, discord.gg/New Game Plus.
We want to say thank you to those of you who support us on patreon.com, including our large list of new patrons. We had a number of people who joined us during the goodness that was Summer Pool Party, and so that was Couch Co-op 2024, also our Summer Pool Party. But we want to say thank you to I Love You Pizza Man, Crescent Moon
You
7,
do?
Mark. I think that was a secret message for someone. Systematic, Attack of the Brad, Noni Hobbit 68, Cliff Maslav Payoment, and Cup Nats.
That's not
Welcome.
his name.
We also want to say thank you to our director level supporters, Brojim, Super Hyper, Siegfried, and for the first time, because we got a new director this week, we want to say thank you to Scotty, or possibly Scotty, but it's only got one T, so
It's
I don't know how
definitely
to
Scotty.
pronounce it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone goes by Scotty.
No. Yeah, I'm sticking with Scotty until he tells us otherwise. Our producers also are the bread and butter in this podcast, and we want to say thank you to them, including Alex, Alias X, Marlian, Antonin, Arlen, Yuki, Ben, Craig, Dustin's 5 o'clock Shadow, Carlisle, Hallex, Harold, Hey Brother, J. Robert, Jake, Jordan, Joey, Justified, Justin, Clinton, Levi, Maxima, Megatroid, Miss Muso, Not Enough Dog, Who, Sagen, Shane, Shauna, Snake Medic, Stephen Fox, Psycho Mantis, Thomas Turtle, Unbedavable, and Zion. Stumbled a bit there, but I appreciate all of you.
Did great.
You can follow us on our social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube. Those links are in the show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you're the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. Our episode artwork was created by Dave. Our video episode was edited by Dylan. Our audio episode was edited and produced by Dan Willett. Join us next week as we play Bionic Commando Elite Forces. Until then, I'm still Con Smith.
I'm still terrified and confused.
Mask Day Smith.
This has been New Game Plus.